36 miles before the Georgia state line on I-75 is the exit to Calhoun, Tennessee. Thousands of cars pass through every day. But on December 11, 1990, this was the spot at the time of the largest multi-vehicle crash in the country's history.
The sound of it was like gunshots going off. Just kept happening, you know, and then you heard people screaming, people running around you, and it just seemed to last forever.
It was just like somebody laid a blanket down over the windshield. Couldn't see anything. The only first thing I saw was a pickup truck sideways in the middle of the road, and I T-boned it, and then it all started from there, just one after the other piling up. And back behind you, it just sounds like bombs going off, all the cars and trucks colliding.
On December 11, 1990 at 9:10 a.m., a semi-truck headed southbound on I-75 slowed down as fog engulfed the area. Another tractor-trailer following behind did not slow down. It hit the semi in front of it, starting a chain reaction that would end with a 99-vehicle pileup stretching a half a mile.
And this lady, I don't know who she was, but she was screaming. She had a baby in the car. So I grabbed the baby and I grabbed her and I was walking over to the median, and all of a sudden, it was like when I handed it to her, you know. It's like God said, you know, this baby's gonna be all right, and I heard this big old bang, and I turned around and here this great big semi was coming at me.
And from the time I saw it until we hit it was so short a time I didn't even have time to twitch the wheel. I can't think anything that would have helped except to have stopped before we entered the dense fog. But we didn't know the dense fog was there.
Just 10 minutes later, the crashes had ended, leaving behind a scene filled with vehicles ablaze. 42 people were injured and 12 people had died.
There was about 3 fatalities in that area right there where we were. The Lord was with us that day.
Within minutes of the initial crash, authorities were on the scene.
Implemented our Code Yellow, which is for an external disaster. At that point, personnel in the hospital responded. We called in additional personnel that were off duty.
We had 33 different departments responding, and everything was coordinated real good. Everybody did their thing. Within 30 to 45 minutes, we had the critical injured out and had most of the injured going in or out to the hospital.
11 years ago, the NTSB recommended that the state of Tennessee look into installing a fog detection and warning system here in the Calhoun area. But 4 years later, the board determined that such a system may no longer be necessary.
In the days following the crash, the investigation began.
We will look at everything that's here that's to be examined, and if it's appropriate, identify it as an issue and make safety recommendations. Each of these areas that we talked about, highway, survival, human performance, weather, will be like sub-chapters, and each of these will have a report, a factual report that will be prepared.
The cause of the thick fog that morning was speculated to be the Hiwassee River near the crash site. The nearby Bowater paper plant's water vapor emissions and cooling ponds near the interstate may have contributed. Experts split their opinion on whether the Bowater plant was responsible.
Many of those situations are aggravated by the possible source of pollution that might be nearby. So it's not possible to say for sure in a case like this, but it's certainly possible that problem was aggravated by, industrial emissions.
Obviously, where water is present, then that is a situation that is of concern. But between an actual manufacturing operation and these kinds of situations, I'm not aware of any correlation.
All sides agreed on one thing: new measures should be put in place to give ample warning of impending fog.
The first fog-related accident along this stretch of I-75 happened in March of 1974, 3 months after it opened. Since that time, 18 people have been killed, 138 others injured, and people who drive this stretch often say it is long past time to do something.
There's not enough warning signals down here. I mean, all they got is just one flashing sign, and when it's real foggy, you're on it before you can even see it.
My own opinion is that warning system needs to be much more sophisticated than just a simple detector that turns on flashing lights. It needs to have the ability to stop the traffic on the interstate, because you cannot put traffic through an area that has 3-foot to 10-foot visibility.
In 1992, the NTSB's findings ultimately put most of the blame for the massive crash on drivers, stating that they simply failed to slow down enough in the thick fog. The NTSB also recommended driver training courses give more attention to limited visibility situations.
I don't know how you'd educate anybody driving a fog when you can't see 5 foot in front of you.
Did visibility exist ahead due to the presence of dense fog?
In January 1994, Bowater settled out of court with 44 of the crash victims for a sum of $10 million. TDOT paid $800,000 to settle lawsuits that alleged negligence in the area where the crash happened. The stretch of highway between miles 31 and 39 has been named a fog advisory zone and had a computerized fog detection system installed in 1993. Since the system's installation, no major multi-vehicle wrecks have happened on this stretch of I-75.